In this section, we're going to look at multiplying decimals. In order to multiply decimals, we have to understand what is going on. If we look at 0.3, well, what that means is 3 divided by 10. And that's multiplied by 0.4, which is 4 divided by 10. If we multiply these fractions out, what that means is 12 divided by 100. 12 divided by 100 is 0.12. Now we've understood what's actually going on, there is a quicker way to do this. If I take a look at 0.3, there is one number after the decimal. If I take a look at 0.4, there is also one number after the decimal. So my final answer should have two numbers after the decimal. What I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply these numbers, but I'm just going to multiply 3 times 4. I am going to ignore the decimals. 3 times 4 is 12. And I know there should be two numbers after the decimal, so that's going to be 1, 2. This is where my decimal goes, so my answer is going to be 0.12. If I take a look at this example here, 0.24 times 0.3, what this means is 24 divided by 100 times 3 divided by 10. That gives me 72 divided by 1,000. 72 divided by 1,000 is going to be 0.072. That's actually what's going on. Can we do this the quicker way? If I take a look at 0.24, there's two numbers after the decimal. If I take a look at 0.3, there's one number after the decimal. So I know that my final answer must have three numbers after the decimal. So I'm going to do 24 times 3. So I'm ignoring the decimals. 3 times 20 is 60. 3 times 4 is 12. 60 plus 12 is 72. And there must be three numbers after the decimal. So it's going to be 1, 2, and there's another number there before my decimal point. So this must be a 0. So that gives me 0.072. And that's my answer. Here are 3 questions for you to have a go at. Press pause and we'll run through them in a few seconds. If I take a look at the first one, there's one number after the decimal here, there's one number after the decimal there, so there must be two numbers after the decimal in my final answer. I know that 4 times 2 is going to give me 8, and there's two numbers after the decimal, so it's 1, 2. There's my decimal point. I must have a 0 there, so my answer is going to be 0.08. In B, I've got one number after the decimal, and I've got 3 numbers after the decimal. So my final answer must have 4 numbers after the decimal. If I then do 6 times 3, I get 18. I've got to have 4 numbers after the decimal, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's my decimal point. I've got 2 spaces to put 2 zeros, so my answer is going to be 0.0018. In this last example, I've got 5.1 times 2.2, one number after the decimal here, one number after the decimal there. There's going to be 2 numbers after the decimal in my final answer. So I'm just going to do 51 times 22. 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 5 is 10. Put my placeholder, 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 5 is 10. 2, 2, 1, 1. So I have 1, 1, 2, 2. I've got to have 2 numbers after the decimal, so 1, 2. That's where my decimal point goes. So my answer is 11.22.